Welcome back to the most exciting week of this channel's history. This is week 7 of the WDL. This is going to be the most insane week. It's just been progressively getting crazier every single week. And week 7, like, guys, I'm going to go over all of the scenarios of the playoff brackets, who's going to make it, who won't, what needs to happen in order for someone to make it, what's the minimum someone needs to do in order to make it, what do they need opponents to do, like as in lose or win, whatever, to determine their playoff. We're going to talk about who's in, who's out already going into week 7. So like the playoffs have already been decided for, I believe, 4 teams so far. So we'll go over that as well. But I had to ask a little bit of AI to help me out with this scenario. I've tried to do these before in my head. They're very difficult. I had a little bit of help from someone named Aloe. He helped last week with the actual what did he help last week with? I forgot. Oh yeah, give me terror types. Yeah, super wicked. That was awesome. I didn't have to go into the match and do it. It was super helpful. Genuine surprise with every set. Amazing. But Aloe, again, just super awesome person, because just randomly just reached out to me again, gave me this great updated standings going into week 7. So as you guys can see right now, the standings the way they are right now is James is in, locked it up with that win last week. Wolfey lost, so he's gonna make it. I think the world would have to come to an end mathematically for him to not make the playoffs here. So I would just go off and just say that. So it's possible he doesn't make it, but who knows, right? It's really unlikely, but you never know, right? In this league, I have no idea. You've got Mountaih, who has not stopped winning since he made his transactions. 3 in a row, the hottest team going into the last week of the season. We're going to go into his matchup and how that looks for him as well. Cybertron lost last week against, I think it was Mount. I think so. I can't remember, but it was just, he lost last week, which actually made it much more difficult for him this week because he needs a win. Like a lot of teams need a win to even have a shot, right? There's only 4 playoff spots and he's got number 4 right now, which brings us to number 5, Pokeaim. Probably the coldest player going into week 7, has lost 2 consecutive weeks. Him and Wolf both have, but Wolf's playoffs aren't on the line. Like they are, but they aren't. They are, but they aren't. You know what I mean? Again, if you look at the records in this tiebreakers, insanity needs to happen in order for it to work out. So, or to not work out for Wolf. But with Joey Pokeaim, 5th place, he's facing. I'm not even gonna try to just think of it in the moment. We're gonna get into all of the matches, don't worry guys. I'm just kind of going over the standings right now. There's a lot to go over today, so strap in. Getting into the last 3 teams, unfortunately their seasons have ended when it comes to playoff contention. They still have the last week to go to play spoiler, which we very well may see. It's gonna be crazy. But we've got Shady Penguin, unfortunately too little too late, ended up besting Wolf last week, which was an awesome match. If you haven't had a chance to go see it, go watch it. It was amazing, and it was the biggest upset of the season so far. It was just an awesome one. And then you got number 7, Uzi. Unfortunately, we're talking about the coldest player stand the season. I think it just goes down to Uzi for sure. 4 consecutive losses after starting so hot, so much promise to start the season with 2 wins, and then it's just lost out so far. Just not his season, not his second half of the season, I guess. But you know what, I expect him to bounce back and he's going to be just fine. He's doing great, made great strides in VGC, doing great, not worried. Nekkra, on the other hand, 2 wins, 4 losses, also eliminated. Someone has to finish last. Unfortunately, it's her right now. Technically she has next week as well, but the tiebreakers are so close, so you could make an argument that all 3 of them are kind of tied for last right now. They're all out of the playoffs, so unfortunately her name's just at the bottom. They've all kind of equally had 4 consecutive weeks losses and had wins on either side and stuff like that if you look. But unfortunately those 3 teams are out, so this last week is just for fun for them to play spoiler. I'm really curious to see what teams are going to bring. It looks like fun. James, again, same thing. His playoffs are already set. It's just a matter of seeding. I think Wolf can pass him, but that's about it. When it comes down to tiebreakers, you never know. But this is where the meat is right here, 2 through 5. Boy, is that going to be exciting. Like I said, I have a little description here. I'm going to be reading it. I haven't memorized it. There's just so many scenarios that can happen, and we're going to go over each and every one of them. I plugged in the data. The AI gave me the answer back. They're good at numbers with the AI, so I'm letting what's good, whoever's good at something, do what they do best, and numbers are what AI do best. So love AI or hate them, we're using it right now, and it's helping out with the clear playoff picture. So let's dive into it now. So those are your standings. So we're gonna go by one. You know what? I'm just gonna go over the actual like scenarios. Where is it? I'm gonna go over the scenarios first, and then we'll actually go over the actual matchups. And I like to go over teams that I built, as you guys can see on the screen right now. So I'm just gonna start reading because this is kind of crazy. So strap in. There's so much information. Pause it. Go back. I'll try to read it exactly the way it's written because it's clear as long as I don't misread it and stuff. So let's see how it goes. So as of right now, James is if James is 5-1. He has officially clinched the playoffs. He's the first seed with a win, making him 6-1 in week 7. If he loses to go to 5-2, he's either first or second, depending on Wolfey's result and tiebreakers. Pretty simple. Let me see. So in the first match, Wolfey versus Uzi. If Wolfey wins, he is 5-2 and he's clinched. He is the second seed unless James also finishes 5-2 and wins tiebreakers for number 1. If Wolfey loses, he's still very alive, but then he's in line for the 4-3 pool, which we have that little chaos in the center. I'll go back to the standings here for a second. Let me just bring them back up so you guys can see, just so you have the visual. Let me see. He's still very alive, but then he's in the 4-3 pool with up to 3 others, Aaron, Mountaih, and Joey, which, by the way, none of them are playing each other, which I don't know if it's more crazy or not, that the fact that they're not playing each other, or if they are, because there's just a straight up win and in situation if they are. Wolfey's current tiebreakers are 11 games won, it looks like, with a +6 differential. If, wait, hold on. His current tiebreakers, 11 games won, +6 diff, are strong, so he's favored but not mathematically guaranteed if everyone stacks 4-3. I'm just gonna go with what it's saying, because I plugged in the information, so it might not make sense to me right now, but I'm sure it does. Let me see. Quick rule of thumb for Wolfey. It's a win and in. If he wins, he's in. If he loses, there's still a chance, but again, a lot has to happen for him to not. So if he loses, he's still likely to get there, unless all 3, Aaron, Mountaih, Joey, all win, creating a 4-way 4-3 tie for 3 playoff spots, and his week 7 loss is a rough 0-2, while others winning 2-0, swinging tiebreakers. So that's Wolfey's situation, as we are, and we already mentioned before, Uzi's already out, so we're not going to go over his scenarios. This is where it gets chaotic. This is insane. So the 3-3 trio, Mountaih, Aaron, and Joey. Each team plays a different tier. In other words, it's calling it tier as in like different records. Mountaih is 3-3 facing Nekkra, who's already out. Aaron's facing James, who's already in. And Joey is playing Shady, who's already out. So all 3 could play spoiler right now. So if they all win 4-3, well, hold on, let me see. Any one of the following makes their spot very likely. Wolfey wins, reduces the amount of 4-3 teams fighting for 2 spots, because right now there's 3 playoff spots. If Wolfey wins, he clinches, taking the number 2 or 1 slot, leaving only 3 and 4 for the last 3 players, Mountaih, Aaron, Joey. Let me see. If Wolfey loses, he joins the 4-3 pool, but his tiebreakers are good. Winning 2-0 is the safest way to edge him or another 4-3. If all 3, Mountaih, Aaron, Joey, win, Wolfey also wins. There are 3 teams at 4-3 for 2 spots. The tie will be decided by games 1 first. So a 2-0 this week is huge for any player. A 2-1 win may leave you sweat checking other results. So I always recommend this to people. Instead of scoreboard watching when you're in the last week of the season waiting for this stuff, take care of your own business first. win 2-0, then you don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to make sure I'm still recording, which is great because I am covering it. Let's see. Yeah, take care of your own business first. Win 2-0, you'll put yourself in a great position. I think if Mountaih wins 2-0, he's guaranteed in, but we'll get into that when I'm jumping ahead. Let me see. If all 3 win and Wolfey loses, there's 4 4-3 slots. Again, a 2-0 wins are gold. Even a 2-1 can be fine if somebody else squeaks by a 2-1 or loses game count elsewhere. If they lose, finishing 3-4, they drop below 4-3. If they drop below any 4-3 team on the first tiebreaker to sneak in from 3-4, you would need Wolfey to win, reducing the 4-3 traffic. The other 2 teams, 3-3, to also lose. So there are less than 2 teams at 4-3 total, yeah. Even then, you'd be in a 3-4 tiebreaker cluster with Shady, Uzi, Nekkra winners. Your current games won totals. Mount has 10, Aaron has 10, Joey has 9. Start ahead of the 2-4 team. Oh, it's just explaining why the 3-4 teams, if Shady, Uzi, and Nekkra all win, they'll be 3-4, but it's just over explaining it, so never mind. I'll just ignore that one. Team by team cheat sheet. So this is probably the best example. So Mountaih, he clinches with a win and Wolfey wins, and at least one of Aaron or Joey loses. So that's a way that Mount gets in. If all 3 3-3s win, he needs to have the better games won this week with a 2-0. With a loss, he needs both Aaron and Joey to lose, and then hope the 4-3 line doesn't fill. Still tiebreaker favored over 2-4 teams. Yeah. Aaron, he's 3-3, 10 game wins, +5 diff. He's facing James. He has the hardest opponent, unfortunately. So he's probably got, and yeah, James is clearly the best player this season. He's been the best player in VGC out of this group in the past little while. So he's the hottest player by far. Let me see. So same math as Mountaih, but the 2-0 premium is still massive if all 3-3s win, right? A loss likely pushes him to needs help and tiebreakers against the others, and then you're just praying the others lost worse than you, right? Joey, 3-3. He's got the hardest pathway to get that last slot. He does have the easiest opponent on paper, but again, momentum is a big thing. Shady's won 2 in a row, and he just beat Wolf. He just dethroned the #1 seed last week, so that's pretty big too. But technically on paper, he's got the easiest matchup against Shady. Best bet, win 2-0 to keep pace, beat them in the 4-3 tie. With a loss, he needs the same double lose help from Aaron and Mountaih, and still might get boxed out by the 4-3 volume. So again, it just comes down to, do you win 2-1 or 2-0? If you win 2-0, you put yourself in a great position, but if you win 2-1, then the other players can win 2-0 and you're out. Unfortunately, the only scenario is that Pokeaim, Joey, could do everything perfectly, win 2-0, beat the crap out of his weak 7 opponent like 8-0, and still miss the playoffs. And that would really suck for him, because I feel like he's played really well this season. He just hasn't in the last 2 weeks. What else do we got here? So it's got more here. Minimal scenario grid, who to root for, what to root for. Wolfey wins, great for any 3-3 team that also wins. So if I'm not sure when these matches are playing is the other thing, right? Like the chronological order of when they're played. Like if Wolfey plays last, like, because I know these guys have a whole week to play, right? So based on Saturday when the matches are released, and then Sunday when the matches are released, or whatever it might be. So I'd be curious of the schedule, actually. Actually, Pokeaim might have given me the schedule. Let me just look really quick. I have to go find our conversation. I think he told me the release schedule of when matches were being released on the weekends. So let me just have a quick look. Pokeaim. There it is. There it is. Okay. So in week 7, Saturday, the first match, I think they're released in groups, right? So the 2 of them are released together. If not, so Uzi versus Wolfey is coming out first on Saturday. Okay, so that makes sense. So Wolfey if Wolfey loses that first match, things get really interesting. If he wins, then the other players, I guess the players already know what's happening, but we're just going to be watching, like, just panicking, biting our fingernails, right? So Uzi versus Wolfey is first. Shady versus Joey is second, and we won't find out who wins the other ones to finalize the playoff picture until Sunday. James and Aaron is coming out on Sunday, and then Mount and Nekkra are coming out on Sunday as well. So just so you guys know exactly what to look out for as for a schedule. But let's dive into is there any other nugget in here before we dive into the actual matchups and what each team is looking like? Stick around, everybody, please stick around, because I built my own teams. It's almost like a moot point at this point. I just want to get into what each team is looking at, like who they've faced so far this season, things like that, and yeah, like who's likely to win, like what are we predicting for this to happen this weekend, right? Like we can look at like scenarios, who's going to win what and what needs to happen, but what's the likelihood they're going to win these games, and we can make some predictions in here, and then we can all comment down here, which is predating all of these games, and we can say, like, we're going to do a little bit of a fun game, and I might actually shout everybody out in the playoffs if you guess right. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, but I'll mention it at the end. So plug in what you guys think, and maybe just don't hit enter on your comment, like the official post of the comment. Maybe just kind of type it in now what you think, and then once we go over the matchups, you're like, ooh, I didn't realize that, and then you move things up and down, and then eventually post your 4. So we'll do that all together. I'll probably do my own at the end as well, just to kind of see. I'll play with you guys. It'll be a lot of fun. This is the most exciting week yet. So Wolfey wins exactly 2 of the yeah, I'll just read this. Exactly 2 of the 3 and 3s win. Both are very likely in tiebreakers. Only matter if one wins 2-1 and the other squeaks by while Wolfey loses 0-2. Sure. All 3 and 3s win. Oh my goodness. Plus Wolfey wins. 3 teams are fighting for 2 spots. Push for a 2-0. That's what you need. All 3 and 3 teams win, but Wolfey loses, which would be the most insane thing ever. Because Wolfey was first place all season. 4 teams are fighting for 3 spots. A 2-0 matters, but odds improve if you 2-0, if you 2-0 somebody. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine that scenario. Any 3 and 3 losses, that losing team probably needs the other 2 and 3 and 3s to also lose. So if you lose, you're pretty much out, because there's only 2 slots. So we'll have to see. Whew! All right. If that was confusing, hit like on this video and subscribe. There's an incentive to being confused by all that, but I thought it really helped. It kind of made things a little bit clearer. So hopefully maybe I'll refer to this when I'm talking about the matchup. But let's see what we're looking at in the actual matchups themselves. The first one we're going to go over is, you know what? Let's just do it in order based on when the matches are coming out. So we got Uzi versus Wolf. It's the first match we're going to see. I was going to do this in a different order, but we just found out the release schedule. So let me see. So Wolfey versus Uzi. So basically the story of the season so far is Wolfey started 4-0 to start the season, if you're just joining us this late. 4-0, super dominant, MVP kill leader in Primarina, just dominating, right? Using his team to its fullest. The story has been, he's used all of them. Every single, I feel like the only Pokemon he hasn't really used a lot is Glamora. Maybe earlier in the season it was kind of dominating. Even Arcanine early in the season, he didn't even use it, didn't bring it. Hasn't really needed it. And then Sliggoo, I think it went off 1 week, and I don't know if it's come again. It might have come and not hit the field. So, but other than that, if you guys are following along with me, Arcanine's been used a lot. Trevenant's been used almost every single week. Noivern's come every single week. Espathra's probably come half the weeks. Venonat a little bit less, but it's when it's come, it's done really well. Mamoswine's kind of done in recent weeks. Sliggoo, again, I think it had 1 decent week. It was like the baton pass from the Calm Mind to Espathra. Primarina has just been kicking ass and taking names all season. And Hariyama has just been a great support piece and just doing good damage all season. Uzi, on the other hand, started off really well. We saw that really popular topsy-turvy Malamar into that Dondozo against Aaron in week 1. Completely took the league by storm. Got my attention. I am now an Uzi fan because of it. I actually thought in week 1, I predicted that would be a really cool strategy. It's nothing crazy because it's one of the few things it does uniquely, the Malamar. But he's been using his Dragapult really well. His Whimsicott has been a star so far. Piloswine's had a little bit of action. Araquanid has just been really good for him. It's funny because Typhlosion, looking at it next, was his best Pokemon, and he's kind of gotten away from it throughout the season. And he's also been losing a little bit later in the season, so maybe not bringing the Typhlosion. I think it actually, his first loss might have been against Pokeaim. Let me just double check here. Was it? Where is it? Do I have one? Maybe I could just open it. You know what? I'll worry about it later. I think he lost one match when he went Rain versus Sun against his son, and he brought it, and he didn't end up winning that week. I thought it was really close though. So I feel like it might have scared him off from using it, even though it's an incredible strategy like Sunny Day, and then he Eruption with either Charcoal or Choice Specs or Choice Scarf, and Typhlosion is just super, super strong, and he kind of went away from it, hasn't really used it, been leaning more on the Gallade in the second half. Toxtricity was coming a little bit earlier in the season as well, not so much later, or hasn't really been leaned on. The Gallade's been really good. Berserker, I like the Berserker on this team. I think it's done its job. The Dunsparce, I don't even think we've seen it, have we? I don't think so. He picked it up. It was really cheap, and it just hasn't really been brought. And Malamar, he would tell you right off the bat, Malamar has been his favorite Pokemon all season. So yeah, so that's basically the rundown of the season so far. I feel like Uzi, like, I'm not exactly sure. I can't really put my finger on what's been happening. I think there's been a couple of weeks where like the RNG really got the best of him, and it just rattles you, right? Like when like the Dire Claw against Shady, he got like, you can get poisoned, paralyzed, and slept, right? And he got slept every single time, and he was running the Chesto Berry with Rest on Malamar, so it was literally the only status condition he didn't want, and it consumed his berry, and then it happened again in the same game, and it was just like, oy. It was just a perfect storm, and it really hit him hard. But I don't know. Wolf has just been a monster with his team this season, but he's lost 2 straight. You never know. So this might be Uzi's chance to finish on a strong note this season. Maybe encourage him to get back into VGC. If you're watching this right now, I'm going to look right at the camera when I say this. Keep playing VGC. You have shown so much promise with the mechanics of VGC. Your singles strategies are, you can definitely tell you're influenced by singles, and you can see them translating to VGC very well. And you need to pursue this. I see greatness in you. So yes, keep going. Anyway, don't be discouraged by 4 losses. I see the mechanics that you're using. I see your understanding of the game, and you're getting better. Losses don't necessarily mean bad for growth. So keep going. Anyway, that's enough sappiness for this. That was just for Uzi. This is for you guys. So yeah, Wolf's been dominating this season, but not as of late. Uzi's on an 0-4 streak, so this is kind of like the 2 losing streaks. Which one's going to come to an end? So that's the storyline of this matchup. And so just going back into who's making the playoffs, Wolfey is very likely to make it. Uzi's already out. But Wolfey is, I'd say, basically already in, but we pretty much said that about, I think we said Mount was basically out earlier in the season, but everything had to go right, and it has. So I can't sit here and just say that, well, he's in for sure, even though it's unlikely, because the unlikely is happening. This has been the weirdest season ever. So let's just dive into the teams, I guess, and then I'll get into the next one. If you guys don't want to see the teams, and you just want to see me talk about the matchup itself, rather than the teams, just skip ahead. I got timestamps in the on the little bar that you guys are watching right now. So let me see if I can do this. It's going, yeah, that way. Yeah, alrighty. So Wolf's team. What do we got with Wolf's team? The Primarina has to come, doesn't it? I feel like teams that are like looking at playoffs right now as a possibility rather than a guarantee. And yes, Wolfey is technically in that possibility. I think players are going to play very safe. I can't really see players going crazy with new strategies. They might just go with what works. So I'm building very safe teams, I think, with maybe one little spiciness on the team, just for you guys more so. Do I think they're going to bring it? Maybe, but we'll get into it. So this team kind of is the embodiment of what he's been doing most of the season, except for maybe like an item. I see a loaded dice on the Mamoswine. He hasn't done it yet, but I still think it's an incredible set. The Primarina with Life Orb. It has been the item of choice for the Primarina all season. Hyper Voice, Moonblast. He's been clicking Moonblast over D-Gleam all season. So maybe he's not going to bring the D-Gleam. He's been liking to set up. So that's why I have Calm Mind on here. If you can get one Calm Mind off on maybe a pivot or setup or whatever it might be, you can set up yourself and just put yourself in a great position to win. So I got Terra Ground as a defensive Terra against the Toxtricity, because it's probably the worst matchup for Primarina, because unless we run Psychic, it's not able to hit the Toxtricity back, or Terra Blast. So maybe having Terra Ground on the Primarina might scare Uzi away from keeping it on the field or force a Terra out, because Terra Ground, Terra Blast makes sense as well. The Noivern, this is probably the most standard one he's been running all season. Focus Sash. Frisk has been putting in absolute work for him. If you guys didn't believe in Frisk before the season started, Wolfey should have proven to you why it's so good in a closed team cheat format throughout the season. He has 3 Frisk users, has been using them all, and he's been finding out items and using the information he's getting before turn 1 even starts to you know, to establish his game plan, right? So Noivern, not much to say there. Mamoswine, ooh, I am losing my camera here. It's going down. Yeah, I just see it just dropping like this. What is happening? How low is it gonna go? What in the world? This is so weird. All right, it stopped. I think we're good. Don't touch it. All right, that was awkward. I think we're okay. I need another one. New camera on its way, by the way. I think I'm buying a new camera. It's coming soon. But where was I? Guys, where was I? Comment down below where I was. No, I'm good. All right, getting into Uzi's team, I think. Oh, no, Mamoswine. Oh, my goodness. Mamoswine. So, Mamoswine, I've got the loaded dice set on there. Rock Blast, I think, is great with Icicle Spear. Ice and Rock are incredibly good offensive types to hit pretty much everything. And then you have the High Horsepower just to hit things on Uzi's side of the field. Terra Steel's really good into a lot of matchups, so it hits Steel. It hits Electric, which is another really good one as well. So I think Mamoswine's going to be great this week. Probably the target for most of the offense. We'll have to see. I have the Terra Bug on there just to... you're not weak to the Berserker anymore with the Steel. You're not weak to... Oh, by the way, Thick Fat. Because... why he doesn't have an Intimidate user. So why am I running Oblivious? And Snowcloak, why? Right? So it's got to be Thick Fat. So... I don't think any ice moves are coming in, but you never know. That Typhlosion Hisui, you know, it's now, instead of being super effective, it's neutral, so it's going to be really strong though, so just maybe try not to get hit by that. Let me see. So we've got the High Horsepower Protect, Terra Bug, Loaded Dice, Thick Fat, cool. The Venonat, Leech Life. I think Leech Life would be really cool. If Uzi brings that out, that Malamar, you don't really expect the Venonat to do lots of damage, but quad super effective damage, you never know, you know? Sleep Powder, obviously with the compound eyes, super accurate. It's almost like a spore in that situation. Rage Powder and Protect, just pretty standard. I think Terra Fairy works really nicely on it, because if he Dragon Darts with the Dragapult, you can go for the Rage Powder and then completely block the Dragon Darts entirely. So I think that's really good there. And also, like, we don't exactly have... no, we have Steel and we have Poison, so never mind. I think it was the other matchups I thought that was the case with Terra Fairy. Trevenant has probably been maybe his favorite Pokemon to use all season. I think there was a week where he had a Harvest strategy going in the sun, and he had like 500 HP in the end by the time all the recovery was done with Horn Leech and things like that. It was just a monster that week. So Mental Herb, just to allow it to do what it wants to do. The Burns... the Sucker Punch, I think, works great into Dragapult. You know, no Dragapult wants to be Sucker Punched, but he's got it. Tricker and Will-O-Wisp, why not? Because that's what it does best. Hariyama, I do have Thick Fat on there as well, just in case Uzi decides to lean on the Typhlosion Hisui. And in this case, it would be considered a resisted hit, because we're not naturally weak to fire. So I know because Mamoswine is weak to fire, so then you would just have the super effective damage to be neutral. Hariyama would naturally be neutral to it, and now it would have it to resist the damage. So So if the Typhlosion comes, expect to see that Hariyama as a lead most of the time, especially with Fake Out and being resistant to that really good strategy. So that's Wolf's team, but let's get into Uzi's team. I think the Araquanid is going to be the star of the show. I think Araquanid looks great. I think when I originally built the teams, I was doing Wolves, and I'm like, how am I going to beat that Araquanid? Like, this thing is just so good. Like, with Water Bubble, Mystic Water, I put the safety goggles on there, but you have to watch out for that damage boosting item for those water moves, for the Water Bubble just boosting the water damage by ×2, and then the Water Bubble just being boosted by the Mystic Water as well. Very strong attack. Even resisted hits don't want to get those. So we've got the Terra Electric for resisted hits from the flying moves, and also electric moves themselves. You don't want to be susceptible to those elemental punches, or even wild charge from the Arcanine as well. We've got Liquidation, Leech Life, Terra Electric, Terra Blast, because I wanted to be able to hit that Primarina in some way. It's not going to hit super hard, but it might 2-hit KO it if he's not super bulky on the physical side. Terra Electric, Terra Blast, yeah, it can be strong. The Berserker, just the AV with Fake Out, Iron Head, Knockoff, Close Combat. Tough Claws does boost all of those, I believe. Close Combat with Tough Claws does do a lot of damage. And I know that Sliggoo is a thing. Mamoswine is a thing, so you want to be able to get rid of those things. And I know that Iron Head can hit that Mamoswine, so never mind. Terra types, that's another thing. So you just want to be able to get coverage on a Pokemon that has a lot of coverage, right? Dragapult, I think in a week where you really want to end off strong, you go for your strongest mode. Choice Band, Terra Ghost, Terra Blast, Dragapult. It won tournaments, and it wins tournaments, and why not bring it here? There's less things to answer it, so why not, right? I don't even need to really go over the set because it's just so common, right? Terra Blast, Dragon Darts, U-Turn, Outrage. Choice Band Outrage just does a lot of damage. If you don't see any Terra Fairy, you can click it freely. Don't worry about, resistances or immunities because there's no Terra Fairy, so just keep doing it. Does a lot of damage. Whimsicott, I feel like you have to bring your ace for the most part because I think he drafted it really early in the draft, right? So you Prankster Tailwind just in case Wolfey wants to bring his Noivern, which I know he will. He's been bringing it and leaning on it all season. We've got the Tickle. So instead of Helping Hand, I've actually got the Tickle on there. So Tickle is great because it's Prankster, so it's +1 priority, and it also lowers the attack of your opponent, and it lowers the defense of your opponent. So you can use it offensively and defensively. So you can use it with your Dragon Bolt on the field, obviously if there's no Clear Amulet, or it's not a Dark type or whatever it might be. So Tickle can just go off, lower the attack of maybe that Hariyama, maybe that Mamoswine, maybe the Arcanine, maybe the Trevenant, or whatever it is. So it just does less damage incoming. And you can also use it to lower the defense of the Pokemon you're about to attack with the partner. So next to the Choice Band, Dragapult could be very strong. That Tickle could easily be a Helping Hand. Doesn't really matter to me. I thought this was kind of cute. So Toxtricity, I think Toxtricity is a good week to have it because now you have, like, just look at the leads, guys. You can have Whimsicott with your Dragapult. You don't need a Tailwind. You need a Tailwind depending on the matchup. You can choose it. Toxtricity, you've got the Boom Burst with Terra Normal, and then you have the Ghost type with the Whimsicott. So if Whimsicott goes down early, you can Boom Burst next to your Dragapult, and if it's not, you could just go for a Terra Ghost with your Whimsicott and go for a Boom Burst anyway. So just super strong damage coming in from Uzi's side. Thunderbolt, obviously, to hit the Primarina and the Sludge Bomb. Yeah, why not, right? Because that Primarina, I would have a Pokemon designated just for that slot. Primarina is so good and has been so good for him all season. And just a standard Malamar, I don't think there's anything going to be standard about this Malamar this week. It's really hard to guess what somebody wants to do with a Pokemon this versatile. So, Superpower with the Contrary ability, super strong, it makes it super unkillable. Knockoff, just stab, good damage, reveals items, and Trick Room to either reverse it or set it with Protect, so why not? Terra Grass actually gets around the Rage Powder. I wanted to have some ways to get around Rage Powder because you don't want to lose to a Pokemon like that. Especially with like the Araquanid. That's why I took the Mystic Water off of there. Is if he leads the Venonat, you could just attack around it, and he's only going to find out too late. You know, he's not going to know you have safety goggles until the damage goes off, and it might be too late and just KO the partner, such as the Arcanine. You never know. Unfortunately, you are susceptible to Intimidate too, so really hard to pick an item on the Araquanid this week. So that's it for Uzi versus Wolf. both teams have been losing so much to end the season. It's really hard to say who's going to win this one. Do I go for the crazy prediction just to see the world burn? If Wolfey loses this week, oh, that would be insane. I just think that if Uzi just plays with his aggressive modes the way he does, he could win. Wolfey last week got caught trying to set up and he lost. So, you know what? I'm going to say that Uzi's going to win. You know, like, is it weird for me to say that I think Uzi's going to win? I feel like Wolfey kind of, you know, he played with his food last week and it bit him, right? And Shady just went super aggressive and ended up winning in 2 games. It was a very impressive win for him, but he just stepped on the gas and didn't let up. So if Uzi steps on the gas and doesn't let up, I can't see why he wouldn't win. So let's give it to Uzi this week. I don't think it's by a large margin. I think it'll be by a minimal margin, but I think he might win. So let's see. Let's see how it goes. But on to the next matchup. Let's get into, what was the second one? It was Shady versus Joey. Let's do that one. So Joey's here. Shady's here. Shady was first. Let's do Shady's team. All right. Well, Joey's on top, so let's do Joey's. There we go. Again, if you guys want to skip all of the actual team building or going over what team I think they're going to build, just skip on to the next matchup, and there's no harm, no foul, guys. No worries. Everybody's here for different reasons, so this is just fun. But stick around. Just stick around because this is a lot of fun just to talk about these matchups and just get super excited for the weekend upcoming. I can't wait. I don't know about you guys, but plug for the season. Why not? Let me see. So Pokeaim's team. But before we get into the team, let's get into the matchup itself. So Joey has to win this week, as we mentioned. He is in the worst playoff position right now that still has a chance to make it. He's currently sitting in 5th, looking up at the other ones. So he has he's got more to take care of than the others, right? He's got to win 2-0. If he wins 2-1, you need to hope for them to lose. Yeah, just take care of business yourself, get the 2-0, and then just look into your opponent. It's very unlikely for your both of your opponents to win 2-0, especially with Aaron facing a top seed. I think it's very likely that James will at least take 1 game. So if you can get a 2-0 win, you're looking great. Shady, on the other hand, again, great end to your season. He's got 2 wins, knocked off the first seed last week against Wolf. Great things to take away from this season. Absolutely great things. So happy for him. He got his new team. I didn't like his team that he drafted, Mountaih. Both of them kind of drafted similar teams. I didn't really like them. And you could tell they weren't jiving throughout the season. They both made transactions, and look at them now. I bet they were wishing that they drafted this team originally, but it's too little too late for Shady. But let's see if he can knock off a win and play spoiler. So speaking of knockoff, we got some knockoff users. But is there anything else in the matchup? The way the season's gone for Joey's lost 2 in a row, hasn't he? Yeah, I feel like he started off so strong. He faced Wolf week 1. Unfortunately, he drew probably one of the top players to start the season. He performed very well, and I think that he probably would have won that game if he didn't miss that rock slide in week 1. Go back and watch the match if you haven't already. So yes, he lost that week, but I don't think he was walking away from that worried. And then he wins the next 3 weeks. So incredible start to the season, right? Could be first place at that point, but he was second because Wolfey just did not stop losing. And then the wheels just started falling off. Like, I didn't really like the transactions he made. I remember he had Meowstick on the team originally with Prankster. He had Riolu. Okay, maybe the Riolu could have gone. He had Rhyperior, which actually won him a couple of weeks on its own. So the fact that he dropped that for the Rhydon, and he dropped his secondary Weather Setter, I didn't really like those moves, and he's lost 2 in a row since. I hate being right in that situation, but I feel like those weren't the right moves. He's been enjoying the Comfey. He's been playing it really well, but, you know, I feel like he's been leaning away from his better strategies, like his Archaludon, his Basculegion. He's been using those things, but he hasn't been leaning on them. You know what I mean? He's been using the other Pokemon, and they haven't been, there's a reason they're lower point values than the top big boppers on the team, right? So I think that might be why his season's kind of flipping on its head right now, but I am not surprised if I won't be surprised if he wins this week and then wins the whole thing in the playoffs. So I think he's just such an incredible player, has such a great understanding of the game itself. Wouldn't be surprised if he won it all, but at the same time, if he keeps playing the way he's been playing by not leaning on his big Pokemon, he might find himself on the outside looking in after the season's over. So, but as for Shady, again, great season so far. A lot to take away from it. Gelling with his moves so far ever since he's made them. A little too little too late. I think I've already mentioned that, so I won't get into it too much. So, and I think everybody's loving him popping off at the end when he wins. He's just loving life, right? Like I ended the stream last week, like 2 seconds too early. He was just like, he was talking about rewarding his Pokemon. He's like, yeah, man, donuts for everyone and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, let's go into the match breakdown. And everyone's like, no, you have to watch him just pop off. And I actually went back and watched his perspective at the end. And he just like was in the background behind his like chair and stuff like that. And he was just, yeah. So very cool to see someone get excited about draft as much as we do, right? But the match itself, so here's what I think. Here's what I think that Joey should do. Lean on the Arch. He's got the Archaludon right here. Assault Vest looks great. Stalwart looks great. It's really nice having an ability like Stalwart against an Indeedee, a Follow Me user instead of a Rage Powder user. It's the only way to get around it is Stalwart. I think there's Propeller Tail is another way, which is on Barraskewda, but not super common. Stalwart is on Arch. He's been running it throughout the season, so don't expect that the Indeedee is leaned on this week for Shady, because I'm pretty sure after watching Joey's matches, he knows that he knows that he knows that he knows about Stalwart. You know what I mean? You follow that? I didn't, but anyway, and I even said it. So Electro Shot in the rain that he's going to set himself with the Pelipper. Dragon Pulse, because I don't want to lower my special attack from a Draco Meteor. Flash Cannon, just great stab damage, and Aura Sphere for that pesky King Gambit. You need to have many ways to get rid of that King Gambit. It's just so strong. Arch being one of them. King Gambit's not going to hit the Arch too hard back. Expect low kick on it. You know, I think in it's actually, believe it or not, Arch is not the heaviest Pokemon in the world. I don't know what the base power of low kick is. If you know, comment it down below. You guys love correcting me, so go ahead and just correct me now. I didn't commit to what it is. I just don't know what it is. It's definitely not 120. You think Arch would be heavier being a steel type and I don't know, a bridge. You think it'd be heavier, but Chimecho. I think Chimecho's the way to go this week. And here's why. I think that because Shady's probably setting the Psychic Terrain for you, you have a chance to go Iron Ball, ground yourself because you're Levitate, and use the Expanding Force yourself. I think it beats the Sneasler. I don't think Sneasler KOs the Chimecho in one hit anyway. Chimecho, especially if you train it bulky, you could probably just start Expanding Forcing things back. It hits the majority of the team aside from the Psychic types and the Dark types, so it hits more than half the team. So if he's going to set it for me, I'm going to do it, right? And then I've got the Imprison on there as well, just in case you, instead of using the offensive, you can stop him from doing it, so maybe you build it a little bit quicker. Unfortunately, Iron Ball does make you slower, so you're going to take a hit. So Iron Ball does half your speed and ground you. So and then Terra Blast. The reason I have Terra Blast on there is because I was thinking on an Imprison set. Imprison, Trick Room, Expanding Force. What other moves would be really annoying to Imprison so your opponent can't use it? Well, people lean on Terra Blast quite a bit. So I figured that Terra Blast would be a nice one to Imprison. Sometimes Protect is another good one. I just didn't really know. I figured Terra Blast, I can use it offensively against the King Gambit. You know, you go for Terra Fighting, resist the dark moves coming into it, and then you could just KO it back with the Terra Fighting quad super effective Terra Blast. So that could be a really cool move. I love this set. Chimecho, if you have never Chimecho'd before, you know, Chimecho with apostrophe D, so as like a verb. If you've never used Chimecho before, it's always super cheap, 1 point or 2 or whatever it is in most leagues. It is very useful. Its move pool is very good. We went over it a little bit in the stream not too long ago. If you were there, you learned a bit about it, and I kind of turned you guys, a few of you guys. Pelipper, Terra Stellar. It's got, obviously has the Drizzle ability, keep the rain up, Covert Cloak. Just a pretty standard set. Hurricane, Weather Ball, Wide Guard, Protect. I don't have Tailwind on there because I have it on the Comfey down here. And I think the Wide Guard's pretty important against a Earthquake team, a Psy Spam team with the Expanding Force. Yeah, I just think it would not make a whole lot of sense to leave it at home to not have Wide Guard, because You never know. Chimecho's not going to come every game, right, to imprison it. And let's just say you bring it, imprison it, and he still beats you. Well, now you need another way to deal with it. So I think Wide Guard's great for it. Basculegion, again, getting into the strongest Pokemon on Joey's team, leaning on them. Life Orb Basculegion, In the Rain, Wave Crash, Last Respects, Aqua Jet. Be careful with Aqua Jet because the terrain is potentially there with the Indeedee. So I think that this Basculegion could just do really well. And you could probably find out in Team Preview once you get those Terra types. You're going to find out what resists Wave Crash. In the Rain, Life Orb boosted with such a strong attack like Wave Crash, it deletes things. So if you don't see Terra Grass, Terra Dragon, Terra Water, things like that, lean on it. And then just start removing pieces, right? Yes, you take a lot of recoil, but just start deleting things. Terra Dragon just eliminates its weaknesses and just keeps it around a little bit longer because it's such a good defensive Terra. No Fairy type on Shady's side of the field. No Ice type on Shady's side of the field, so why not, right? There's that Dragon from Salamence, so just don't Terra in front of it and you'll be just fine. Lapras. I think Lapras looks great because look at all those ice weaknesses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of them's a quad super effective hit. So why not, right? It wouldn't make sense to not have it. Hydro Pump just to be able to hit other things neutrally. And I also think that because ice looks so good, you run the Never Melt Ice or Ice Plate or whatever it is just to boost the ice damage a little bit. Just because you could just keep clicking that over and over and over and you'll be just fine. Hydration is interesting because you can use hydration in the rain, use rest, and because it's cured of your status at the end of every turn that rain is up, you heal your sleep. So it's unlimited healing as long as the rain is up. And Shady doesn't have a great way to change your weather, so why not keep it up and use it? Comfey as well. This is the one that I wasn't 100% sure I wanted to bring because Comfey is very good by using that Draining Kiss across the field. Unfortunately, you can't do that with the Indeedee. And even if you wanted to heal your partner, Indeedee can also just redirect that floral healing. So side moves aren't exactly the best, but it doesn't mean you can't bring it. It just means you have to play around it. So if you look at the screen, I do have Dazzling Gleam on there. You don't usually see Dazzling Gleam on Comfey, but it allows you to just chip things. He has no resists on his entire team for the fairy, so why not? I was actually considering running Terra Fairy D-Gleam, but it's not David Copperfield over here just doing magic, right? It's gonna hit, it's not gonna Oko things, but it does enough damage to be a pain, you know? So that's basically that team with Joey. The next team, Shady, we'll get into a little bit. Indeedee female, obviously the star of the show. Most of the season enables almost the entire team. Redirecting for Swords Dance setup from the King Gambit. Not going to run it this week, but obviously you have it there. Just, it's been the star all season because of the redirection. So the redirection, we'll see exactly where it actually comes into play, just protecting the partner. And then we have Helping Hand to boost the damage. And we do have the Psy Spam with the Braviary Hisui as well. So you have that Helping Hand, boost the Expanding Force damage, ground yourself with the Terra Psychic, boost your damage with the Terra Psychic. You can't resist it unless you're immune to it with Terra Dark. There's no type if you resist it. So if you go Terra Psychic, if you go Terra Steel, Tinted Lens is going to allow that Expanding Force to hit a full hit. It's not resisted. Tinted Lens does so much damage. We saw it, how much it did against Wolf last week. And you can't even with Covert Cloak. I thought that was a perfect item on it by Shady last week, having the Covert Cloak. So you can't even Snarl away or Struggle Bug or whatever. Lower the special attack from this thing. It just does so much damage naturally. We do have King Gambit here. Terra Dark. Just a standard Sucker Punch, Kowtow Cleave. Watch out for your own Psychic terrain. But we do have Thwacky on the team as well, just in case you want to switch it in like he did last week. Just obviously there's no... maybe Earthquake on the Mudsdale. He could do it again. I would have a hard time bringing Earthquake against a grassy terrain team, but you never know. He might do it. Wolf did last week, so he might do it too. Wait, hold on. No, Earthquake Rhydon. I'm looking at the wrong team again. Oh my goodness. Earthquake Rhydon, not Mudsdale. Let me see. So Black Glasses, boost the dark damage. Dark Terra gets rid of the quad weakness. And also the fire, from the Houndoom, and eliminates all that, the steel type weaknesses. So ground from the Mudsdale, and also eliminates your quad weakness, right? And now it's just a ×2 weakness. The Sneasler, so Terra Stellar, Grassy Seed to give it the Unburden boost to make it faster than anything on the field, never looking back. No Tailwind's going to stop it that I know of, unless you have the Tailwind and the Basculegion, because you already outspeed things naturally. Joey doesn't exactly have the fastest team naturally. He needs Tailwind and Rain to kind of get it going. So yeah, the Unburden with the Grassy Seed, why not? Boost the defense against the physical attackers on the other side. Close combat, Dire Claw, Throat Chop. Unfortunately, you do need Throat Chop this week. You can't just run Dire Claw in close combat because Basculegion is immune to both resist and immune to the other one. So bad matchup without it, good matchup with it. So why not, right? You're faster than it, you chunk it. Not sure if it KOs with Terra Stellar. It might be close depending on how invested into bulk the Basculegion is on Joey's side. We'll have to wait and see. Thwacky, I think that when you see a Basculegion on the other side of the field that's super fast and can't be stopped in some cases, why not bring a Choice Band Thwacky with Grassy Glide? It goes first. You can't stop it from happening. This probably OHKOs it without the Terra. Why not do it? I love this set. It's got the moves. It's got Woodhammer for even more damage. Knock off, a great move to lock into. You don't have to worry about switching, and U-turn to get the heck out of there. So why not? And the last but not least, Mudsdale Assault Vest. I originally had the Assault Vest on the King Gambit, but I thought it looked better on the Mudsdale this week. And also 4 moves. Mudsdale gets coverage for days, so high horsepower to hit what it needs. With Stab, Body Press to hit that Archaludon, and Stone Edge because I didn't really like the Rock Slide into the Pelipper. It just doesn't do enough damage. So Stone Edge, click at your own risk because obviously it's only 80% accurate, but you might get that crit that you need. Last week, why not, right? I think it's just a storybook ending to just get a bunch of crits to end the season and make it. And then Terra Blast, Terra Grass, I think looks great into a few of the things. Grass goes into the team very nicely and not resisted by a lot. So actually, Ground and Grass hits everything at least neutrally and super effectively. So yeah, super great. So that's the matchup. Who's going to win this week? Shady's won 2 in a row. Should I go with the upset again? I think I got a bet for Shady. It seems like he's got a grasp on his team right now. He's using his team well. He just beat one of the top players, so why can't he do it again? I'm not going to bet against Shady. I am officially a Shady person. If you're a Shady person in the comments, click like and comment that you're a Shady person. Let's get Shady another win this week. Make him 3 and 4. He's popping off every single time he wins. Let's see him pop off again with a win. Sorry, Joey. I feel like you've been regressing throughout the season. If you're watching this, I apologize. I just have to go with the trends and things like that. I feel like you were really jiving with your team throughout the season and then made those changes and it just hasn't been clicking. So I'm going to go with the hot hand in Shady this week. Shady's going to pull it off, and unfortunately, Joey's going to miss the playoffs, I am predicting. So let's see how it goes. Into the next matchup. Let me see. So let's go with... Who was the last one of the week? I think, was it? I have to look. The last match of the week... Well, the next match of the week is going to be... I believe it's James and Aaron. Yeah, James and Aaron. So let's do that one next. So Aaron and James. Go up here. Who's first and second? Of course, it's Aaron, then James. Okay. I built this team first, so I might not remember it. Let's see how it goes. But as for the matchup, so this match doesn't really matter for James. I don't think he really cares who he plays in round one of the playoffs, so I don't think he's really going to care a lot. He might just kind of go and just play standard, and then Aaron might... I don't know, right? Usually when a team just, you know, clinches, they don't really worry too much about their matchup, right? They put less prep in. They bring things that are pretty traditional and standard, or they cook, right? That's the other thing. They just build this really weird team. They don't want to reveal anything else for the playoffs, so they might just play, you know, a little less than optimal, right? So, but unfortunately, James does have the hardest matchup, or sorry, Cybertron has the hardest matchup, you know, going into the last week when it comes to the 3 and 3 team. So, Aaron, how has Aaron gone? He beat Wolf. I thought that was a big one. Gave him a little bit of momentum. But I think, didn't he lose last week as well? Yeah, I think he lost last week, just making his week 7 a lot more difficult. Yeah, he lost against Mount, didn't he? Who did he lose against? I thought it was against Mount. Yeah, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, guys, but he did lose last week. And, yeah, he put himself in this situation, so we'll have to see how he plays his way out of it. I feel like he's played really strong, but he's played very basic, very telegraphed play. Like, but telegraph doesn't mean bad. It just means that people are ready for it. You could be ready for the best strategy in the world and you still lose. So it doesn't mean it's bad. And he hasn't really been bringing any of his... He brought Doug Trio and didn't bring it. He hasn't used Yanma or Toad School all season. He's really just been rocking with the 7. Goldango, Dondozo, Palma. Weezing has been a monster this season. Slacking and Murkrow, and then brought the Doug Trio once, right? So it's really just been a 7-man team all season. He's been bringing kind of different sets, but at the same time, they've been kind of standard, like maybe a little bit of coverage. He hasn't really been, you know, breaking new ground with the team, but again, he's, you know, sometimes old reliable is old reliable, and he's been doing it and he's been winning. So, but as for James's side, again, what's on the line? Not a whole lot for him, so maybe he might put in less than maximum effort into the last week, which might give Aaron an advantage. I don't think he's going to throw or anything on purpose. I just think that when one person's fighting for their life in desperation mode and the other one's just kind of sitting back, just kind of waiting for the playoffs to start, you know, you can definitely have an edge when somebody wants it more, right? So, but the Annihilate has been good all season. He didn't bring it last week, actually. He actually brought everything else and ended up winning, so that was interesting. The Ninetales, he hasn't been going for the Icicle Spear against the Annihilate to boost the Rage Fist all season. He hasn't done it. He might be saving it for playoffs. We might eventually see it. I'm not predicting it anymore. I just want to wait and see. The Kilowattrel's been fantastic for him this season, becoming almost every single week. The Crocodile basically won him last week with the Max Earthquake that he went last week. I think it was... What was the item? I can't remember. He went Terra Ground Earthquake and he just went off with it. It was really good. Cinderace hasn't really been brought since early in the season. Blastoise, same thing. Hydrapple's been great for him all season. And it's going to be great from this week as well. I actually think it's going to be a big part in his match this week against Aaron. Duosion's been making a lot more of an appearance in the second half of the season, I think. And I think it's going to have another big part as well. So let's see if the trend continues. Revavroom has been just, in case of emergency, break open. It's been doing its role very well, being a solid steel type, sticking around, doing lots of damage when he needs to, and just deleting super effective hits, right? So, or deleting with super effective hits. So, but let's dive into the actual matchup itself. We've already talked about what's on the line, what we're expecting, what we've seen throughout the season. So what am I thinking that he's going to use? Again, I'm going with pretty old reliable. With Aaron's team, nothing really to write home about. Weezing, pretty standard. I need that taunt to be on there, unfortunately, for the, where is it? The Duosion, for the Furret, just to make sure that he's not able to set up, because unfortunately you don't have the greatest Trick Room answer. The Dozo's there specifically for that, but it's not the greatest matchup. So I think you definitely need taunt to be able to get rid of that, stop Trick Room from going up. Terra Grass just allows you to, what was it? Eliminates your weaknesses. And what was Grass for? Why did I do that? Oh, to resist the ground. That's what it is. Because Earth Power from the Hydrapple, and also the ground moves from the Crocodile. That's what it was. So that was just the safest Terra I could find, even though it's not perfect. I think it was, I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'd rather deal with that Kilowattrel flying and the Ninetales, the ice, because they don't hit super hard. They are super effective, but they're also lower base stats. So why not? Just watch out for that poison on the Revavroom, but I think you're not staying in that matchup anyway. Murkrow, nothing crazy. Terra Ghost, Eviolite, and then just standard moves. I do have the Whirlwind on there just to get that Duosion off the field, just in case he does have Mental Herb. And you could just Whirlwind it off the field, switch it out, because Whirlwind goes before Trick Room. So that's just another way of doing it. I don't think he'll do it, because I feel like Aaron hasn't really done things like that this season. He's just going to play pretty traditional, maybe stall out the Trick Room, knows it's going to happen. He's such a good, fundamentally strong player. He might just deal with it and then just win after Trick Room's over. So expect that as well. That says Insomnia, not Prankster. So we are going to go for Prankster. Oops. Check your teams before the matches, guys. Goldango, not even going to talk about it. Pretty standard. I just have the Terra Normal on there for the Rage Fist on the Annihilate. Again, in case of emergency, break open, because unfortunately you are now weak to the fighting. So maybe what we'll see in the matchup at some point is Annihilate going for a Protect on a turn that Goldango might want to Terra, force out the Terra. Now next turn it has super effective damage against it. So expect to see that interaction. Slacking has been great from all season. 4 coverage moves. I think Ice looks great into the Hydrapple. Obviously super effective moves, quad super effective moves, hits the Kilowattrel and the Crocodile. So why not, right? I think it's just great. Quad super effective damage. You always want to run those elemental punches just to get it off. Double Edge, just, yeah, I'm not going to go into the moves on slacking. Everybody knows what they do. I'm going to do Palmot, then Dozo, because Dozo I want to get into because it's the Trick Room matchup. Palmot, pretty standard. Terra Electric, Double Shock. I do have the Ice Punch on there as well, because Ice looks good into not even the whole team, really just the Hydrapple. And yeah, it does hit those other things, but actually, yeah, you need something for that Volt Absorb Kilowattrel as well, because you've got Double Shock is immune from Volt Absorb and Close Combat is resisted, so you need something for it, so Ice Punch just works. So I think that's a guarantee it's going to have Ice Punch at some point, because or else you can't even touch the Kilowattrel, so I think he has to have it. Now to the Dozo. It's not the best Trick Room matchup, but that's all you got. So the ways to stall out Trick Room: have a bulky Pokemon, Yawn puts them to sleep, forces them to pivot in and out. So maybe just go for a Yawn and a Protect, forces them to switch or just fall asleep, and then it just makes Trick Room a little bit easier to stall out. A Wave Crash and Body Press just does decent damage because the majorly high defense stat, and Wave Crash just being a high base power move. So Leftovers just keeps it around a little bit longer, especially to get rid of that Wave Crash chip that you're doing to yourself. And then Terra Normal, again, the same matchup against that Annihilate. Watch out for the Super Fang from the Furret. You don't want to have your, and the Cinderace, I guess. You don't want your HP cut in two. I feel like with a bulky Pokemon, that's the strength of it, is to have crazy high HP. You don't want to have it cut in half by something that just doesn't do damage, right? So watch out for that. But I also don't know how you get around that, really. Maybe just switching a Pokemon you don't want. You don't really care if it gets to half HP. So I don't know. We'll have to see. So that's Aaron's team. Let's get into James's team. Standard Annihilate. Again, I don't think he's going to put in a ton of effort into prepping this week because he's already locked. I might be wrong. You know, prove me wrong. You know, build something really cooking, because like I said, you either get super basic, I don't care about the matchup, or you get super cooking because they're like, this matchup doesn't matter, so I'm going to pull out all these weird strategies to just play spoiler, right? Because that's the other thing. He gets to play spoiler, so this could be fun for him, or it could just be next, please. Next, please. Waiting for next week. So, so Annihilate, pretty standard. Terra Fire to stop the Will-O-Wisp. Rage Fist, Rain Punch. Bulk Up, Protect. One that we saw dominate the meta for quite a while, almost a year probably. So, the Duosian, again, he's been using it more as the season goes on. So having Trick Room to set it up, because I did say that the Trick Room mode looked very good into Aaron's team. So why not? Psychic does lots of damage. Shadow Ball does against Pokemon like, for example, the Goldango. Can't hit it with Psychic, not very hard, so you have Shadow Ball just to hit it for a little bit more. And the Calm Mind, so that's the thing. People love to protect in front of Pokemon that are in Trick Room, right? I'm going to stall out a turn, then pivot, then stall out a turn, then pivot, protect, things like that. You can catch them on either of those plays with a Calm Mind, right? And now you're in a much better position, right? Terra Dark allows you to be immune to the Prankster Taunt on the Murkrow, but unfortunately that's not the only taunt user, so you just got to watch out for that. Blastoise, I think, is going to come back this week. I think whenever you're facing a Dondozo, you need to bring Haze, and I think Blastoise does it better than most. You can resist the Wave Crash. It's so bulky. It can resist the Order Ups. It can resist Earthquakes and whatever it might, and then you could just go for a Haze and just make it that much easier to 2v1 it, right? And then Leftovers just keeps it around a little bit longer. Terra Grass, Defensive Terra. We've got the Icy Wind for the speed control, just in case you want to do that. Muddy Water is just consistent damage, and you might get an accuracy drop that could win you the game. So, and Fake Out, because Fake Out. Hydrapple, how are you going to win in Trick Room? Well, here's a way you can win in Trick Room. Hydrapple. I think that Dragon, Ground, and Grass hits so many things so nicely on Aaron's team. Like, Ground hits the... Well, just look at it. Your two stabs, right? You got your Dragon and your Grass, right? So what does that hit? So it hits everything except for Goldango. So you have Dragon resisted, Grass resisted. So we run Earth Power. Now we can hit it super effectively. Go to the next one, Weezing. So Dragon, it's immune because it's Fairy. Grass, because it's Poison. Crap. Let's run Earth Power. Fantastic. The funny thing, he probably runs Levitate, so now you can't hit it with anything. That'd be really funny. But who's running Levitate Weezing? So anyway, so those moves are pretty safe. And then because it's Assault Vest, we do need to have the last move on there. That's not a status move, so we can do it. So many options. I don't know, but Pollen Puff is always very nice, especially next to an Annihilate that's getting bulk ups and just wants to stick around for as long as possible and take hits. Same thing with the Blastoise, very bulky. Speaking of bulky, I'm going to skip Kilowattrel for a second. If you can get an Aurora Veil up at the beginning of the match with a Light Clay, you could win at 8 turns and just, he's doing very little damage throughout the entire match. So especially against a Dondozo, you can let it get set up. You got your Aurora Veil. Yes, it's +2 in every category, but it's doing less damage because you have the Veil up for 8 turns, right? So, and he doesn't exactly have the, well, he does have Murkrow. Murkrow very well could have Sunny Day on the team or Rain Dance just to change it so you can't. It's a little expensive because if he doesn't lean on the Ninetales, then you have the move for nothing other than boosting Dondozo's damage. Maybe like Thunder or Hurricane, I doubt it. But it's a little expensive, which is why I didn't have it on my set for Aaron, but he could. But if you find out he doesn't have it, you could just start setting Veil and you're fine. So maybe a later match strategy, maybe not a game 1, find out what moves are on that Murkrow, then go for it in a game 3 maybe, and go from there. And the last Pokemon, nothing crazy. Kilowattrel, he's been using it all season, almost the exact same set. Tailwind, Thunderbolt, Air Slash, E-Web. You can match his Tailwind because yes, the Prankster does go first. You have Focus Sash, so again, we talked about this earlier in the season. If you are not a Prankster Tailwind user and your opponent is a Prankster Tailwind setter, you could always go for Protect with the partner, set the Tailwind, you get the Tailwind up, they get the Tailwind up, and only one attack is going off. You have the Focus Sash, you survive the hit, you're fine. So now next turn, you both are on equal ground with your Tailwind. Now you can go off with your partner that's hopefully faster than theirs. So, and with Electro Web, if you are faster than Murkrow, which you are, you can go for Electro Web and just lower the speed of them as well because Kilowattrel is very naturally fast as well. So anyway, so that's the matchup. So who do I think is going to win this week? I might actually give it to Aaron because, again, I keep mentioning this. James doesn't have a lot to play for right now. I've seen it too many times. I'm not saying it's good or bad or he's going to do it or there's no character thing with it. It's just, statistically speaking, I have seen teams that are locked in lose their last week of the season because they're like, okay, so then what, right? I'm waiting for my round 1. I'm not going to reveal anything I don't want to. They play standard or they just do a meme team and end up losing because it's too memey, things like that. So I'm not sure what's going to happen this week, but I would give an edge to Cybertron. I feel like he's played very consistent all season, but I feel like James has played better all season with 2 more wins than Aaron. But I also think that out of those 3-3 teams, I think Aaron has a good shot of winning this one. I do like James's team, but in the end, guys, we have 2 juggernauts facing each other. These guys are high VGC caliber players. It is going to be my favorite match of the week. Yes, it's probably not as crazy as maybe some of the other ones, but this one is very important. And also 2 stars of the game facing each other. This one's marked on my weekend calendar. I'm not going to miss it. So hopefully you guys don't either. Give the edge to Aaron in this one. It'll be close though. I think he's not going to win 2-0. I don't think Aaron's going to win 2-0. I think it's going to be a 2-1. I think there's just way too much skill on the other side to just blow him out. So that might be the downfall of Aaron because, again, I said at the beginning of the video, you've got to take care of your own business first. Win 2-0. I just don't think he's going to do it against James. He's just been too strong all season and he's just such a high caliber player. So let's see. And the last matchup I want to get into is Mount versus Nekkra. Mount versus Nekkra. I'm starting to lose my voice and I don't have any water. Who made that mistake? That'd be me, this guy. So the last one, Mountaih versus Nekkra. So Mountaih team, this is where I cooked a little bit. I don't think he's going to do it because it's got an ability that he's never used in singles because it just wouldn't work. But it's kind of traditional, but it's not. If you're a VGC player and play draft, you've seen this before. You've seen something along these lines. Sometimes it's an assault vest, but sometimes it's just whatever. The way Symbiosis works, the description is if an ally uses its item, this Pokemon gives its item to the ally right away. So what items are consumed right away? Well, Throat Spray after using Hyper Voice, very common Ursaluna set, very vanilla, nothing crazy about it. Terra Normal for the Blood Moon. The Hyper Voice just gets boosted, and then you have the coverage and the Earth Power, the stab coverage, and protect. Nothing crazy. You get the +1, and then you just start doing damage the next turn. With Oranguru passing the Silk Scarf, now your Blood Moon is 160 power move at +1, so an extra 50% boosted. Silk Scarf gives it the 1.2 boost as well. Nothing is surviving that. Zero, nada, zilch is surviving that hit, a Blood Moon. And also, because of the spread damage, you might be surviving a Life Orb Hyper Voice or a +1 Hyper Voice specking on the other side. You're not surviving with an additional +2, plus 1.2, 20% on top of that. So I think this could be very cool because, not to mention, even if you're not passing that item, you have Terra Blast, which you are a normal type. Terra Blast, you can use it. It changes to fighting if you Terra, but Terra Blast is a normal type special move boosted by Silk Scarf. So Oranguru starts using its item naturally. If the Ursaluna doesn't get the item or activate its Throat Spray, that's fine. Oranguru is using the item just fine. So you can pass the item, you can use it. I like this duo very much. Will we see it? I don't know. But if you haven't used anything like this, try it. It's a whole lot of fun. Oranguru also uses the Instruct. That's why people use it. Watch out because the Clefable does have redirection with the Follow Me. But I feel like you can do other things with Terra Blast. You can go for Trick Room. You can go for Foul Play. Things like that. Pivot out if you don't like your matchup. So just use Instruct at your own risk. But I feel like you can use it in a lot of different board states than just the Clefable, right? So why not? And yeah, not to mention after you get the +1 from Throat Spray and the Silk Scarf, instructing that to do even more. So watch out for your speed tiers on this one. You might want to spec the Ursaluna to be slower than the Oranguru. That way when Trick Room is set, so you go for Hyper Voice Trick Room, then after it's done, you go for the... Actually, wait a second, the same turn, you can go for Protect Trick Room, then the turn 1 of Trick Room, you go for Hyper Voice, activate your Throat Spray, pass over the Silk Scarf, Instruct goes off. Now you're hitting at a +1 and the Silk Scarf boost on your second hit. Dead, everything's dead. So I hope we see it and we have the Terra Fighting Terra Blast to hit that T-Tar. If it's a Sands up, I doubt it's going to KO, but without it up, it might. So you never know. Very cool combo. Meowscarada has been probably his favorite Pokemon to use since the transactions he made. I think I was talking to him and he says that was the big difference. I think I told him that as well. I was like, I feel like how much fun are you using or having using Meowscarada? And he says it's been a lot of fun this season. So why not Choice Band with Flower Trick? You can't be intimidated because it's an automatic crit anyway. So who cares about crits? You lock it at Flower Trick. You got the Choice Band boost. Can't be stopped. So unless it's resisting with the Intimidate user of Gyarados and it's hitting neutrally, so who cares? Yeah. But Fletchinder, don't do it. Rotomo, don't do it. You know what I mean? So Defensive Terror, don't do it. But I think this is a really cool set. Electivire, I think this one's really nice. Whenever you're facing a team that has a lot of quad super effective damage, candidates or a lot of quad super effective damage incoming, such as Garchomp with Ice, T-Tar with Fighting, Gyarados with Electric, Scyther with Rock, so many quad weaknesses, you have to exploit those. We can exploit 2 of them with 2 moves. Wild Charge into the Gyarados, picks it up. Don't have to worry about the Intimidate with the Clear Amulet. I like it. And because there is double Intimidate too, so I think this is the Pokemon you want to put it on. The Ice Punch to get rid of that Garchomp, it does threaten the Electivire a lot. So I do think it's important to have the Ice Punch on Electivire specifically so you don't just straight up lose that matchup. And you do have the setup with the Bulk Up. It's not going to be easy to set it up, but maybe they try to switch in the Intimidate. You get a Bulk Up off. You don't get Intimidated because you're Clear Amulet, and you get the +1 and the defense boost from Bulk Up as well, patching up its weakest stat in defense. So very cool set here. Illumise, pretty standard. I do have Endeavor on there. Focus Sash and Endeavor go together like peanut butter and jelly, so why not? And it also knocks down those super bulky Pokemon if they want to hit it. You can make yourself slower than them. You get hit, knock yourself down to Sash, and then you get the Endeavor off. Unfortunately, you'll probably go down to the Sand Chip after, unless you go Terra Steel, and then you're not weak to the Sand Chip, and you stick around another turn. So, but nothing crazy about that one. I think Prankster Encore could be very nice. but you got to watch out for the T-Tar, the redirection on the Clefable, so it might not be the easiest, but I do think it's very good. And also Alchemy gets the Aroma Veil that makes you immune to Encore, Taunt, and I believe it's Torment as well. I think it's all three. And the last Pokemon, I think Scraggy looks great this week. I think having coaching just to make your Meowscarada and your Electivire even better. I like the combination of Fake Out and coaching. That way they have to watch out for being faked out. And if they are playing into the Fake Out, you can get a coaching off and they're protecting or switching and it's just a free buff. We take those. Drain Punch against the T-Tar. It's not really great about anything else, so it's really just for Intimidate Cycle into the Pokemon on Mount's team. Against Nekkra's team. You can only have one Clear Amulet. You can Intimidate everything else, so I think Intimidate's worth bringing. And then we've got the Fake Out just so you can set up with the other Pokemon as well. So if you need Fake Out Trick Room, you've got it. If you need Fake Out Bulk Up, you've got it. And so on and so forth. Eviolite just makes it stick around that much longer. That is Mount's team. So as for Nekkra's team, again, it's hard to say because she's out of the playoffs looking in. It's hard for me. She's been cooking all season, so I wouldn't be surprised if she brought a really, really fun team to watch this week. Pokemon could be run so many different ways, and she's so creative. I want to watch her match as well just to see what she finishes off with. But just for standard, I've got the close combat. You need many answers to hit the Ursaluna Blood Moon, so why not put as many as possible? I started with this. I think this is a good counter. Just watch out for defensive Terra against fighting. So against Terra normal Blood Moon, I think it takes hits really well, and the Terra fighting close combat just might KO it back. So, and then upper hand to stop the Fake Out from the Scraggy. I think it's for that. Yeah, just make sure it's faster than Scraggy's really gonna be. So maybe not put too much in there, but so anyway. And I don't know if there's really any other priority. Not really. Like Vacuum Wave on Blaziken maybe. I don't know. So not really. Houndstone. This is where I think she's going to do the most amount of damage. Terra Ghost, Choice Band with Poltergeist. We've done some calcs earlier in the season. Just does absolutely stupid amounts of damage. Why not? And then Body Press just so you can hit that pesky normal type. And I think somebody did tell me it is Body Press damage is boosted by Choice Band. Excuse me, I did not know that. So why not put it on there just so you can hit it? I didn't like the other coverage on there, so I think Body Press is the way to go. T-Tar. Oh, and by the way, Sand Rush with T-Tar, just to give it the double speed. It could outspeed many things, so that Illumize's Tailwind, it might only be effective for a couple of different things on the team to outspeed this Houndstone once it's all said and done. So, actually, Houndstone's not even that fast, so never mind, Tailwind will do it. The T-Tar knockoff Rock Slide Low Kick, pretty standard. I think the Air Balloon is kind of nice. That way, it resists the normal moves initially, and is immune to the ground move from the Ursaluna as well. At least on turn 1 until the Air Balloon is broken. And then you have Terra Flying just in case the Air Balloon's gone. You could just go for it again. So Protect is on there because I have the AV on something else. On the Hitmontop, yeah. So Rotom-Mow, I've got Terra Electric with the Thunderbolt. Eerie Impulse does work against ground types, so Rotom-Mow is not a bad Pokemon to have against the Ursaluna. We have the Chilon Berry as well to survive a potential Blood Moon, halves the damage from the normal move, and we can hit it back with Eerie Impulse, just completely neutering it with a -2 on the special attack. Leaf Storm, you could also go for damage as well, just get rid of it. Terra Water is kind of meta, you know, on Blood Moon. Maybe not meta, but a good defensive Terra for it. But that'll be a tough sell when you're facing a Rotom. Then we've got Scyther here with Choice Scarf. I do have it with the dual Wing Beat. Choice Scarf does allow you to outspeed that Meowscarada and possibly just KO it before it gets a move off. Because a lot of the times the fastest Pokemon in the matchup being Meowscarada, you might not think to set Tailwind for it, so it might actually win Nekkra a game. You just go for a dual Wing Beat into a possible Focus Sash Meowscarada, KOs it, done, right? So, and Technician boosted, Terra Dragon, I think it could stick around a little bit longer, and just really good damage across the board. Choice Scarf Tailwind is there just in case of an emergency. I've seen it a few times, it's not bad, but I don't think that's the purpose of this set, so, but it is there. And the Garchomp, why not bring your best Pokemon, your first round draft pick? I think that was our first one. Stomping Tantrum, Dragon Claw, Earthquake with the Life Orb, Terra Fire, Sand Veil, just for a little bit more synergy. with that T-Tar. Nothing crazy. We do have the Terra Flying on the T-Tar just to be immune to that Earthquake with the partner. So you could just have Earthquake spam as well, just for another mode. So nothing crazy to really write home about for Nekkra's team that I was building this week, because I kind of want to let her cook this week, and I want to watch it just as a fan of the game, right? And a fan of her team. She's been bringing a lot of fun all season, and it looks like she's having the time of her life. So really happy to see her play. Sucks that she's out of the playoffs right now going into week 7, but it takes the pressure off, doesn't it? So let me just bring the standings back up just to finish off the video. These are the standings. This is what we're looking at going into the end of week 7. This has probably been a little bit longer of a video than normal, but if you are as excited about this week as I am, hit like, hit subscribe. If you've been here for the whole ride, stick around to the end, because playoffs are going to be even crazier, I imagine. So this is going to be an insane week. We have 3 playoff spots on the line for 4 teams. So we're about to find out who gets them. And I'm trying to think how I'm going to end this one off, because it's just been a lot of fun to talk about. But I wish it were Saturday, guys. I wish it were Saturday already, but right now it's Wednesday night for me. I'm recording this. You guys are probably watching this on Thursday. Get involved in the conversation. You don't have to join the Discord if you don't want to. It is a lot of fun to help out with team building and just talking about the game, talking about the league itself. But if you don't want to join the Discord, comment, start the conversation there. A lot of great people are making great comments, seeing things in the game, catching it that I didn't see. So share your piece, share something that I missed, a mistake I might have made, something I might have missed, a hot take, a cold take. Agree with me, tell me how awesome I am. I love hearing those. They're so much fun, and I love all of you for the super kind words you guys have been saying all season. So I'm gonna stop rambling. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you guys in week 7. Peace.